Excalibur, why don't you do commentary on one of my orgies sometime? It should have been me, not him. I'm willing to fly myself out to whatever undisclosed location one of these orgies is taking place at, and I will do commentary for free. I'll bring my own equipment. I'll bring all kinds of goddamn equipment, as long as I can get right on up there with all that orgy action. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Bayou Music Center in Houston, Texas. Paul Bosch would be yelling at Tony Khan, saying, "Tony Khan, what the hell are you doing?" And Tony Khan would immediately yell back, "Paul Bosch, what are you doing here? You've been dead for about 26 years. So they had around 1,350 fans. This is the pre-Blood and Guts Dynamite. I don't know if Collision's being taped or if it's happening. Or I have no idea. I know there are more Blood and Guts Advantage matches taking place. More on that in a bit. Excalibur, Danielson, and Schiavone were on commentary. We see recaps of last week's Hangman Ruse. It was a ruse of the week. It actually was pretty creative, but it was what it was. So, Tony Schiavone was going to announce a new championship that's being brought into AEW. More on that in a little bit. But first, the OPPs, yeah, you know me, interrupt. And Samoa Joe calls Tony Schiavone his little Georgia Peach. And I never want to ever hear those words uttered about Tony Schiavone again. My God, that will not put butts in seats. That will put faces in the toilet. All due respect to Tony Schiavone, but come on. Anyway, Joe is pissed because he feels that Schiavone had something to do with what Hangman did, dressing up like him last week. And then we get some security there. It looks like Joe is going to get his hands on Schiavone. And then Hangman, Kingston, and Hook show up. Kingston has a crutch. I hope that that's just for show and that he's not actually hurt, but I don't think he's hurt, but then again, how he's moved in the ring, even before he got injured, how could you tell? So, Hangman basically says, "I'll beat your ass on my Wranglers." Pardon me, are those Wrestle Boy jeans? Sorry, I'm so sorry. Hook challenges them for a trios titles match for the main event. And within 15 to 20 seconds, Tony Schiavone announces Tony Khan has already made it. I guess he must just have those graphics department people just ready at the rates. Like, please make this quick. Thanks, graphics guys. So, we get the card rundown. Queen Aminata is injured and out of Blood and Guts. That is unfortunate. And speaking of injured wrestlers, I wish that she recovers. I really do. Speaking of injured wrestlers, it's bullshit what WWE did to the former Ridge Holland. I don't know what he's going to call himself once he's able to work. Even though I guess they're covering his medical costs and that kind of stuff. They terminated his contract early. So instead of getting the injured time, it's not like TKO doesn't have endless amounts of money to freaking just burn through. They already do with some of the people they bring in, all the sponsorships and everything. You couldn't have paid Ridge the length of his contract. Okay, maybe he was critical of some stuff, some creative stuff in WWE. To be fair, I don't even factor in the thing about Big E's neck. Many people still blame him for it. Big E says that Ridge Holland it wasn't his fault. He extended the olive branch, made sure that he was okay. Felt so bad. Accidents happen. It's unfortunate that did happen to Big E. But let's not blame Ridge for it. These things happen. Ridge has suffered a couple injuries. He suffered one a few years before that, right after he made his debut in NXT. And then, I don't remember what kind of injury it was. I don't remember if it was a leg injury or an arm injury. I don't know. I've never been the biggest fan of his work, but that's neither here nor there. Tony Khan should extend the olive branch and sign Ridge Holland for like a year. He did it with Rhea Chatterton. He's done with other people. He's paid people to sit at home and all that. He could pay Ridge Holland a guaranteed minimum just to make sure that he's covered so he, can take care of his bills and stuff like that, because Tony's been known to do that. He's been known to throw money around. This would be a nice bit of goodwill. It would help Ridge out. And Ridge could even work in AEW. They need big guys. He's a pretty big guy. And they could, have him and Pac team up or something like that. But in all honesty, that's bullshit what happened to Ridge. And hopefully some justice can be served. Because wrestlers beat the shit out of their goddamn bodies, and he really should get a chance to just earn some money and everything, at least while he recovers. It would be one thing if he was able to go right to the indies, command an indie price, do this kind of stuff, or make appearances in AEW and wrestle instantly. But he can't do that. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I think he said a number of months. It's fucking bullshit. It really is. So let's get back to the video, though. There's 3 advantage matches for each blood and guts match because, yes, we have 2. We have 1 for the women, 1 for the men. It's best 2 out of 3. If one respective team wins the first 2, there's no reason to have the third one unless you do it for pride. Okay, so we start off with the men's, and what do we have? We have Claudio Castagnoli against Orange Cassidy. 15 minutes later, Claudio won with an uppercut. That's all I have to say. I'm going to have to endure both blood and guts matches next week. So I'm limiting what I'm going to have to deal with the Death Riders and with any jokes like Orange Cassidy. And Orange Cassidy is a joke and will always be a joke to me. You can be a fan of him all you want. Mark Briscoe is wanting to get an answer from Kyle Fletcher backstage about getting another shot for the TNT Championship. He says, you kicked me in the balls at Wrestle Dream. That's not a way the champion should act. So let's make it no DQ. And may the best man win. Well, then basically the idea is family is brought up and Callis says, okay, we give you this match. If you lose or when you lose, you join the Don Callis family. Mark says he's not going to lose. I really hope he doesn't because I don't need to see a subservient thing and to see this go for a while when the Callis family is just too extensive with people that don't really matter at the end of the day, unless they want to build up something where Mark Briscoe maybe, I don't know, wins the Continental Classic and earns his freedom, or they extend this thing till Revolution and they have him battle to, run a gauntlet, like to beat all the guys to earn his freedom, and he's got to beat Kyle at the end. But I don't think that's a good idea because I don't trust Tony Khan to do it right. And there we are. So I hope Mark Briscoe wins in Full Gear. And then backstage, Don Callis says he will spend money to give the Bucks the respect they deserve. But will they join the Callis family? Who knows? They're going to try to force a Bucks face turn, and it's not going to work, at least on me, because I don't like either of them. Athena and Mercedes took on the Babes of Wrath, Willow, Nightingale, and Harley Cameron. It's first round tag tournament match or a quarterfinal match. Mercedes needs to come up with better gear that looks less off-putting. That could not have been comfortable. Whatever. It is what it is. She was upset at Harley because Mercedes got caked. Her face loaded with frosting. So she was attacking her early on. The match was what it was. Athena showed off her strength later on. They love Willow. There was some good stuff. It's not that Mercedes is terrible in the ring. I just don't want to see her unless she loses that TBS championship that she never deserved to have. It has not been elevated. I often forget what title she has. They gotta get the title onto somebody else and then actually build it. So anyway, breaking up the bank statement or the statement maker with the pounce was kind of cool. And then Athena threw both of them. She had Willow on her shoulders and then threw Harley Cameron. That was a nice little spot. And then Billy Starks runs out and grabs the championship and hands it to Athena to help her out. And then suddenly Statlander flattens her, just beats her, just clotheslines the shit out of her. And then we got a Dr. Bomb on Athena. And then we got Harley Cameron hitting her finishing move, which is like a reverse crossroads, whatever, 1, 2, 3. There you are. So, Tony Schiavone talks about the NWA. It should have been the NWA title. I mean, buy the rights from Corgan for like $50 and a little, maybe a few Smashing Pumpkins tickets. But anyway, it is the AEW National Championship, because there's one thing that's been missing from AEW, it's more championships. You don't need more championships, Tony. The whole thing of the Unified Championship was so you didn't have to have more, and now you're having more. Would you just merge some of these titles? It's not good. It's terrible. I don't care if you have talent. You don't need more championships. It's a Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal, and the first 2 in are Lashley and Shelton. They come out with MVP. MVP is very good at promos. We hurt people, we get chants there. MVP mentions Wahoo McDaniel, Dusty, and Paul Orndorff, as well as Nikita Koloff being the NWA National Champion. And yeah, the national championship, I believe, went to like 86. I think it was 86, something like that. Anyway, so there we go. Then the demand shows up, and look, why is this feud still going? Ricochet, credit to him, I mean, he called out the fact that the recent, or the newly elected mayor of New York City, anybody that doesn't like it, and especially upset about it, it's pretty much just being racist. And he's not wrong. He's also a fucking bald doofus cutting promos when he really doesn't sound very convincing. And it's not like I want to see him, get shut up. I don't really want to hear him talk. But it is what it is. And Jack Perry, speaking of idiots on promos, says to the Bucks, we know you're struggling. And we have a 6-person, $1 million challenge match at Full Gear. And he takes out $100 and sticks his knife in there and then tells the dinosaur to leave it because we can't take anything seriously. Darby Allin versus Daniel Garcia. Speaking of things I can't take seriously, it's a second of the, more advantage matches. Garcia, I don't care if he can do the moves. He is the shits as far as anybody that is ever going to be meaningful to this company. Stop having him featured. Just stop fucking doing it. They need to end this Death Rider shit at Blood and Guts. I just fear they won't. He tapped him out with the Scorpion, Darby did, and then we got another beatdown with Death Rider stuff and everything, and a friend of mine pointed out that Roderick Strong could possibly turn at Blood and Guts and join the Death Riders and everything, because his wife's there, his wife, that he still refuses to say, honey, you're not good at this, you should not be on national TV. Somebody needs to tell her that. But anyway, please don't let that happen. Please let this be the end of the Death Riders. Just let it, just please. Just please. Yeah, Yuta was there. Paul Bosch would have beat the shit out of him. He would have just slapped him. And we would have all thanked him. Because goddamn it, if there's one thing that should happen to Yuta, he should have some sense slapped into him by somebody that actually is good for wrestling. Paul Bosch now means more to wrestling than Wheeler Yuta ever will. So, FTR in the ring, and Brodito isn't out there. And we cut to Stokely basically having them locked in what looks like a sectioned off area where it almost looks like a laboratory for an airplane. With an obviously fake door. And yes, it was a cool spot, but god damn it. FTR, by the way, are knocking Bandito's family. I like Dax and Cash as workers. I don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to see any of their shit. I'm goddamn done with this stuff. I thought this association with Stokely would work. I don't want to see it. They knocked the grandmother. The grandmother slaps, I think. I don't know. I mean, she's about 200 years old, so it is what it is. And they attack Gravity. Remember Gravity? Remember him? The brother of Bandito? And then suddenly, Brody busts, through the goddamn obviously fake door and grabs Stokely. And to be fair, short people got no reason to, well, anyway. And Stokely runs off and runs out there comically, and then Brodito runs out to stop the Spike Piledriver on Gravity. I guess he can't defy that much anymore because he's not in Wicked. By the way, he'll be watching Wicked for good in about 2 weeks as of this recording. So, Blood and Guts hype package, and Tony shows up for commentary, Tony Storm. Megan Bayne with Penelope in a sling. If she's hurt, if she needs surgery, why in the world is she there? Go home. Seriously, go home. Does Megan Bayne did Megan Bayne need Penelope? No. Does Megan Bayne need Penelope when she's hurt? No. Mina Shirakawa replays Queen Aminata. It is the first of the Women's Advantage Blood and Guts matches. And Tony mentions the line about the orgies. Mina Shirakawa did some good stuff here. Megan is fine with power moves. When she has to do anything beyond rudimentary power stuff, she is not very good. She's just not. Eventually, Tony gets attacked by Marina Shafir for what that's worth. God, she could barely do that right. Tony practically had to lean into it because Shafir is really bad at this. Megan won, and then we got post-match stuff. And the OPPs took on Hangman, Hook, and Kingston. Hook got taken out and had a back injury, or a bad back. Kingston got beat up. Hobbs and Hangman fought to the stage. World's Strongest slam through a table. Kingston got beat up, blind tag from Hook. And then Hook eventually got racked by Hobbs, and that was it. And there we go. That's it. That's all I have to say. Look, if it sounds like I'm rushing through some of Dynamite, I am getting to 1 million views, and then I am just cutting down. I am cutting down. I am just about, 10 grand, 10K away. I'm 10K away from hitting that 1 million views. But I sound like I'm totally done with wrestling. I'm totally done with modern wrestling. Maybe I just need a complete purge for a couple months once the new year starts. We'll see, though. On to Blood and Guts. Oh, boy. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin. And until we see Blood and Guts again next week, happy trails to you.